Hi, my name's Colette and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm an artist from the UK and I draw in traditional and digital mediums. I've decided to take the plunge and start my very own channel after being inspired by so many other artists on YouTube for as long as I can remember. So as this is my very first video, it's probably a good starting point to discuss the kind of art that I get up to. I draw in an anime and fantasy blended style. There is often a lot of colour in my works, and I like to experiment with different mediums and try new things, and at the moment I am very much so excited to begin my creative journey in YouTube and share with everyone my processes. I want to do some draw with me style videos, some product reviews and more. It's all really exciting and brand new, so there's a very steep learning curve attached. The decision for me to launch my channel came quite naturally, as I've just bought myself a brand new square sketchbook from Artway, as well as a mechanical pencil that you see me working with now. The sketchbook is a square sketchbook and is part of their studio range. The paper is white and it has a nice smooth texture to it. The paper itself is 195mm thick. My mechanical pencil is an Apollo 2325 by Faber Castell with a 0.5mm lid. It is a beautiful pencil. It is my first time using it and it's a very light mechanical pencil, but it feels sturdy. It has a really nice triangular barrel and I really like the colour pink. It's something that I realised quite recently, that a lot of my work will contain the colour pink in it. I've got to just let myself embrace I am a pink fiend, so this very much fitted my aesthetic. Now, my only criticism of this pencil is that the eraser on the end seems very short in comparison to where the ridge of the pencil is, so it seems like you would definitely run risk of scratching your paper if you were to use it to erase with. In this video, I didn't realise until I was editing it, I don't erase my lines until I start inking, so I didn't really encounter that problem to test if my fears were correct. So as I watch this back, it's probably a good time right now to add the full disclaimer. I'm brand new, as I've said before, so the equipment I'm using to record this is pretty much a jury-rigged webcam on a wooden, posable art doll. I'm not joking, here's my photo. See, I wasn't joking. That's why though sometimes it autofocuses in and out. It's a little bit strange for that. But, you know, I'm starting out. Hopefully this will just be a temporary solution. Who knows? As for the sketchbook, it is a really nice, simple, straightforward square sketchbook. It hasn't got a very thick paper to it, so it wouldn't be very good for mixed medias if you plan to use watercolour on. In fact, I did try some in the back of the book and the paper started peeling and rubbing away quite quickly, so I thought I would keep just my inks with it and my gel pens. I was pleased to say that the ink held really nicely and there was no bleeding through on the other side, which surprised me considering how much black solid ink there was. The paper did have a slight warp to it at the end of the process, but all in all, I'm not mad at it at all. The sketchbook itself as well is bound in a black cover, and I have found it works really nicely with some white pens to create your very own personalised cover for it. I actually recorded myself making my own, and that will be a separate video at another time. It was really just, it took to the medium so well. I'm really excited to share it with you. I wanted this sketchbook to free myself from the fears of everything having to be perfect. I have another sketchbook that I use for what I like to think of as my serious art pieces, and I realised it was stifling me with this fear of perfection. It's an unattainable goal and it goes against my entire ethos. I want progress, not perfection. I'm not a robot, I'm not a machine, I have character, so let me evolve and do what I do and make what I make. For that end, this square sketchbook is going to be used just to let myself be free and not have to entertain parameters that it needs to be pristine. And honestly, I have to say, even though I only got it this week, I have found it's just opened up my creativity so much more than I realized it would. I don't care that things get messy. I don't care if I work outside my lines. Heck, you see how many lines I do at the moment to try and create the shapes I want. It's just a space to be creative, and as such, I highly recommend it. Regarding the artwork that I'm working on in this video, I wanted to create a piece with a lot of black solid ink. I really like the contrast between crisp black lines and the white of the paper showing through. A common theme in my work is little stars, and it's a simple touch, but it's something that I have loved since I was a kid, and I continue to incorporate them into my art now as an adult. To try and prepare it to have a solid black ink mass, I thought it would be cool to try using my masking fluid, which you've seen me add in with the paintbrush. The idea is that it would stop the ink from bleeding through and create little white stars. It was a fun little project, but it was a lot messier and not as crisp as I wanted. I'm not very skilled yet at using masking fluid. I've only recently started trying to, where I've been teaching myself how to paint in watercolours. And I must admit, it's a great improvement to my normal applications. The first masking fluid I ever used had a nozzle attachment that you could apply it directly to the paper in a really thin, streamlined manner, and it worked really nicely. This one I have is a Windsor Newton masking fluid. It is a lovely masking fluid, don't get me wrong. It was easy to apply in the sense that it was kind of, it took to the brush really well, but I need more finesse when I put it down on paper. But again, hey, this is all practice and I was having fun, so I'm not mad. Now, my favorite pen to use when I'm creating these kind of massive patches of black ink is a Faber Castell Pitt Artist Pen big brush, and it's huge. I mean, you can see it in my tiny hands. It's a bit of a beast. It has a flexible brush tip, and it allows for you to do these really nice clean strokes, and the colours builds up really quickly, so you don't need to go over it hundreds and hundreds of times to end up with a solid black piece that just goes pop on the page. I love it. You do have to be a little bit careful though, because sometimes the very tip of the pen itself is, where it is so flexible, it can be quite difficult to control. And I do have some shaky hands now and then, and I notice that sometimes it is particularly difficult to wrangle with, but it's so worth the risk in my opinion. Just, so simple and effective. I love it. I've used it many times in many artworks, and in fact when I did Inktober last year, I used this pen in almost all of them. It's beautiful. Highly recommend it. So all in all, I think drawing this picture from start to end took me about an hour. I wasn't going for a lot of detail or some really complicated ideas, and I knew that I was going to cover a lot of what I was doing with the solid black anyway, but what I did spend a lot of time doing was trying to find where the heck I'd put my pens. I tried using some Posca white pen over the black of the hair just to try and again make the stars really pop, because where I used the masking fluid they weren't very crisp. I was kind of disappointed actually that the Posca didn't have the same bright white effect that I kind of hoped it would have done. It ended up greying ever so slightly in the ink of the Faber Castell Pitt pen. Now that I may not have left it long enough to dry, I thought I had done, but it could have been that, or it might have just been what I fear, and that it's just not as good at covering it up where it's such a solid mass of black. It was good to know though that, I can now apply that to future artworks, knowing that either I will need to pay more attention when I'm putting the masking fluid down. I might see if I can save the nozzle from the last one and attach it to the Windsor Newton bottle. Hadn't thought about that. I stopped using the last one just because I left it out in the sun and it all became one kind of plastic blob in the tube. It was completely unusable. Inusable? Unusable. Gosh, I am from England, I should know how to speak English, but hey ho, there we go. Posca pens are something that I don't have a lot of experience in, but I have seen some beautiful opaque pieces of artwork that people use with them. I think I even need to practice some more with them, or potentially look at the different kind of variations in the brush nibs. The ones that I have are quite thin, and so filling in big blocks of colour is quite difficult with them, and it ends up feeling kind of scratchy and it's not very pleasant to do. I suppose though, it could be very good to use on smaller canvases, and actual canvases rather than the paper I have been. It was only when I was editing this that I realised that my cat Evie had decided to investigate what I was doing. She is my shadow and she is normally with me when I'm in my studio working. I just literally turned my back for a second and she was there. Ah, I love her. Pets, they're too good for us, you know? So as this now approaches the end of the video, I suppose it'd be good to reflect on what I learned during it. Firstly, my new sketchbook was a great investment. It is so worth its weight in gold for the creative outlet that it provides, so I do recommend it, and I will link Artway in the description below. They're a UK-based company as well, so points for that. The Faber and Castell mechanical pencil is one that I would highly recommend. It was so comfortable and it has a very nice grip to it, and it is just so ergonomic. I really like it, and again, that's not just because it's pink. My final recommendation then is, as I said earlier, the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Big Brush. It is my go-to for adding black, as I explained before, and it's just something that is so satisfying to use. If it's something that you do in your artwork, I would love to see it, so please do feel free to share some with me. I want to get involved in the community here as much as I can, and I think it's great to kind of be able to exchange inspiration and ideas in this platform. Go creativity! My final thoughts though for my first venture into YouTube is, oh my days, I've got to find a way of speeding up my editing. It has taken me like 2.5 to 3 hours to record these voiceovers. This video is only, what, 11 minutes long? Heck! Here's hoping I find a much more efficient way to record these voiceovers, and hopefully I won't be so nervous next time. If you have liked this video, leave a comment and let me know. I am so new to this, I am really excited to kind of have any feedback you have. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna grow, and I can share what I can on this channel, so hey, let's explore art together. See you next time!